Pictured here is Charles Eliot as Professor of Analytical Chemistry at the newly founded Massachusetts Institute of Technology in about 1865. 39 years later, he is shown as President of Harvard.
In the 21st century, the primary reason young people attend college is to prepare themselves for better jobs. However, 19th century educators saw themselves as responsible for arranging the furniture of the minds of students. In his 1869 article, The New Education, Charles William Eliot laid out his educational vision. For Eliot, college was meant to develop the person first, not to provide specialized vocational training. It incorporated important elements of Puritan and Unitarian ideas about character development that mirrored what he found in the Boston elite of the day. In Eliot's view, colleges needed first to develop what the leadership of universities in the 20th century came to call critical thinking skills. The modern university was intended to provide the foundational knowledge necessary for students to assume their rightful place in society. The undergraduate degree would henceforth provide character development and broad general knowledge.
In short, Eliot was describing what we might call a finishing school for young men of quality. To call this critical thinking is a bit of a stretch. It really resembles indoctrination. While Canada and other Western countries fund universities because of a supposed connection between higher education and productivity, students today are still looking for pathways into satisfying and highly paid occupations. This explains why business administration programs, including finance, marketing, and management, are invariably among the most popular choices for Canadian students. The approach taken by Eliot and Harvard in the 19th century imposes a huge cost on undergraduate students by deferring working and income for 4 years. In the case of new entrants into the accounting profession, which Harvard Business School recently identified as the American occupation most at risk of what is known as degree inflation, that seems like a heavy price to pay for indoctrination. Somehow business schools and the business professions seem to embrace neoclassical economists like Milton Friedman when it comes to taking a stand against excessive government regulation and progressive tax rates, but ignore his concerns about monopolistic practices of regulatory bodies like their own.
In his 1962 book, Capitalism and Freedom, Friedman devotes an entire chapter to the evils of occupational licensure. What follows is the first paragraph of Chapter 9. The overthrow of the medieval guild system was an indispensable early step in the rise of freedom in the Western world. It was a sign of the triumph of liberal ideas, and widely recognized as such, that by the mid-19th century, in Britain, the United States, and to a lesser extent on the continent of Europe, men could pursue whatever trade or occupation they wished without the by or leave of any governmental or quasi-governmental authority. In more recent decades, there has been a retrogression, an increasing tendency for particular occupations to be restricted to individuals licensed to practice them by the state.
Since 1981, most Western countries have seen at least a doubling in the rates of post-secondary graduates. Canada is no different. In fact, it leads the G7 in that regard. Traditional Western universities and the regulated professions both benefit from occupational licensing. It seems when it comes to regulations, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.